What is up, guys? In today's video we're going to be spectating random players in Fortnite Zero build, going over what they do well, what they could do differently, and just the state of the game. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below if you're starting to get burnt out on Fortnite Chapter 5, because I know just from like reading comments or talking to people on stream, a lot of players are, and I think that's just like pretty normal around this time because, you know, we have the new chapter launching in December, and then Epic goes on break late December. And then, you know, midway into January, they're coming back from break, but we haven't gotten any, like, major updates yet. We've gotten, like, the lock-on pistol, the Enforcer AR, and the Flowberry Fizz, but there hasn't been, like, a huge game-changing update yet, really, in Chapter 5. I think that will be coming soon, so if you are kind of starting to get burnt out or lose interest in the game, like I said, I expect it to change, and I expect things to start to get a bit better. This is just kind of how things typically go around this time, because Epic do have their breaks that they take late December, and this kind of happens as well during the summer. I know Chapter 3 Season 3, a lot of players were upset with the lack of content in the summer update, which kind of happened when Epic went on break. And then once they came back, we ended up getting the Dragon Ball update, which was one of the like bigger updates in Chapter 3. So I think this is just kind of a natural lull and down point in the game, especially if you are someone that's been grinding since Chapter 5 dropped. I do expect us to be getting augments in the near future, maybe next week, and then the week after that we'll probably get like a major update that hopefully shanks things up, and maybe we'll get some balancing changes in there as well. And we landing fencing fields this game just because it's typically a pretty hot location. Kind of made a mistake and landed at the boss itself, and I don't really want to because I don't think it's ideal if you're landing here to land on one of the bosses. I think it's better to land kind of on the outskirts and then clear the POI, and then once the POI has died down a little bit, then you go for the boss. You just land right on the boss. I feel like oftentimes you're not going to have enough loot to like kill it like a lot of times, and you're just going to leave yourself very vulnerable to third parties, other people in the POI who have looted up a lot more. We're going to be on board with Brady here. Nice backbling. I don't know what that is. They just got somebody's head as a backbling, but I do like that they went for the mending machine to get big pots. A lot of people might see that as a waste of gold, but I feel like getting shield this season is rough, and if this player wants to do well in this game, just buying those 2 big pots off the rip is definitely something they can do. I do not like this though. I wish he would have cleared one of the buildings or something. What he's done, I think, is the worst, where he just kind of like went into that courtyard. Now he got sniped. If he cleared that building closer to him, I feel like he would have been exposed to less angles. He could have had a 1-on-1 with that player, and then he just ends up getting taken out. So like when you're clearing these POIs, I think it's best to just kind of clear the edge as you go, you know, like he could have gone into this building and cleared it, but instead he chose to like go into like the center courtyard. He ends up getting sniped by this person, but even if he didn't get sniped by this person, there's so many different players in the POI that likely have line of sight on him that it's just not the greatest play, I think. And it was like still pretty early on in the game where you can expect a lot of players to still be up at this POI, so I really do not think going and standing in that middle courtyard was the play. I don't know if anyone started fighting the boss yet. I don't know if I would see the health bar in Spectator. I don't remember. I may have seen it a moment ago and wasn't really paying attention. Okay, the boss is about to die. And see, that's another reason why I don't think rushing the boss is that necessary, because you can see the boss's health. So this player that we're spectating, if I was them, I would run straight to the vault. This chest doesn't matter. What matters is the timing at vault. I would much rather deal with the player before they get inside. So like I desperately want this player to just run to the vault right now, but they're not doing it. But there is a door like behind them basically now, which leads to the vault area. Seems like they're not too familiar, but they're going the opposite direction. This works too. They'll get there this way. They want this big pot, but the trade-off of this big is going to be that the other player probably gets into the vault. Whereas if they just had ran straight to the vault, I feel like they could have like kind of gate kept the entrance from the person who has the medallion, got an easy kill on them, and then, you know, would have access to the vault loot and the loot from the player who has the medallion. But now with them still continuing to loot, that person, okay, luckily the person is not in the vault. So after all that, they still got decent-ish timing, but if the guy who got the medallion just ran right to the vault, they had more than enough time to get in there before this player got to the point where they are now. And, you know, you could still kill somebody while they're in the vault, but it's just a much more inconvenient fight than the one they're about to have here. And very often, if somebody eliminates the boss, they're going to be going to the vault very soon after, unless you continuously hear, like, fighting at the boss area. But the person who got the medallion, they killed the boss, and then there was like no shots or anything else really going on afterwards. So if I was this player, I would have been rushing to try to get there in time. They get 60 damage. This should be a kill. That isn't... Oh, that was the medallion player. Okay. So there we go. And that's basically what I was saying. That kill is so much easier for them than if they had to wait until that person gets into the vault. But this is the nature of vault POIs in Fortnite. The person we were spectating kind of like camps, gets a kill versus the person who has a medallion, and then they get third-party sniped after doing so. Just please go to the vault. You don't need this loot. Just go to the vault. It stresses me out. Just take the big pots or don't take the big pots. But either way, you just... Okay. Like, this player just saw that standing there was not a good idea, you know? Both of those players took too long to loot. Somebody just ziplined across. I do like him going to potentially meet them. Maybe open the vault to bait it. But yeah, if I was the player who previously got sniped, like, obviously he can't know that somebody's going to be coming down from there. But these vault POIs are pretty ratty at times and pretty third-party centric. And so you just need to be faster with your looting. I know it can be a struggle to loot this season and pick up certain things, but if you want to just grab the medallion, you just take your pickaxe out. That way you can't take anything that will consume an inventory slot. That's why you'll see a lot of players take their pickaxe out when going over a loot pile. You just take your pickaxe out and spam your pickup button, and then you'll only pick up things that don't take a slot, like ammo, heals that stack with what you already have, like shockwaves if it stacks with what you already have, and then like the medallions and crowns as well. So if you are like struggling to get it, because the player who initially died with the medallion, all their loot like stacked. That was a good play. That's what I was saying before about opening the vault to bait that person into third-partying you. Because these POIs are kind of ratty. And that's why I was saying when the person was on the zip line, I probably would have ran up to those stairs and tried to just catch them on the zip. Because all so often people just like kind of like push up to you and then like wait for you to make a play around these vault POIs. And that's why like I've never been the biggest fan of the vault POIs in Fortnite. You actually can break the floor at this vault. I believe this is the only one where you can break the floor. So if you are in need of gold, like the person who we're spectating is, that'd be a great play. So I'm guessing, since they dropped that Flowberry Fizz, and since they didn't take the big pots earlier, that this player is carrying the medkits because they have the medallion. And I do not think that is a good play at all. We'll see if it comes back to bite them. But if you only have one medallion, with how they are currently balanced, I don't think you want to just forego heals in order for medkits. Like prior to the nerf, I think you could get away with that, especially if you had several medallions, but they don't heal you as fast anymore, and they don't heal you as much. So this one medallion is only going to get him to 50 shield. So let's say he gets bodied by a sniper. Having only medkits, he can't do anything there to actually gain HP. And that's like a situation that can happen pretty often this season. The game is pretty sniper centric, so I like to be able to heal after getting sniped, or potentially like shockwave away and drink a big pot. And if you have the medallion going and you're using shield like the Flowberry Fizz and the big pots, you heal even faster. So I really don't like just foregoing shield items for medkits unless you have several medallions. But even at that point, I think if you're fighting someone who's like decent and putting pressure on you, being able to consume a heal while you have the medallion ticking and just get as much shield as you can out of that time, I think is worth more than the medkit is. Especially with how often like fights play out around snipers this season, and like you know, if you get headshot, you're dead, but if you get bodied, that person has pressure in the fight and they're probably gonna push. He's getting third-party sniped, but I really like that they're just leaving that. That's what I would do as well. Like, they could get out and then snipe back at that person, but it's just like a pretty pointless fight. I would rather just leave as well. We'll see where the other medallions are. If he wants to just take medkits, you need to get more medallions. So if I was in this player's shoes, I would go to Reckless. I think that person has two. I think they have both the Grand Glacier and the Reckless medallion over there. So if Lazy King eliminated them, they would have 3 medallions at that point, and then it kind of starts to make a little more sense to not carry shield item and just carry whites. But even still, I don't think it's the greatest play with how medallions are currently balanced. At the start of the season, it worked. I was never someone that wanted to do it, but like you could just get by carrying no heals. But but I really don't think that is the play anymore. So this is always where it gets kind of scuffed with making these videos, because I think this player is just going to hide here for like who knows how long, and that makes sense, kind of. I mean, it looks like this person is rotating into them, so we'll see if they end up fighting that. But if all you wanted to do is win, then like sure, hiding can work, but it's not very good for the video. So normally I would switch off of this, but because this other player has a medallion that's moving towards him, maybe we'll stay on board and spectate this. We hear shots, so he's probably going to be eager to third party that. Okay, so but I would have just switched off of him if this medallion player wasn't coming over here, if there's no sign that they were going to start fighting anybody anytime soon. They seem decent, but they do play it a little bit more passive than I would like, but I like what they did around the vault with like kind of baiting the person till they come in. And they do seem pretty patient, which unfortunately is pretty helpful this season. Being patient is great for the sniper meta. This is the medallion player, so you see they're glowing blue right now even though they're not healing. That means they have medallion. He hits a shot. This is where a shockwave grenade would be nice. He has grapple blade, but that other player is going to get away by the time he gets there, and they're going to heal a little bit, but this person is likely pretty weak because they were already healing off their medallion before they got bodied there, right? And this person has 2 medallions. I think 2 medallions heals up to 60, so they were less than 60 shield when Lazy King sniped them, and then he 120'd them, so they were relatively weak. To shoot him. The other player is on the bridge now. This is like kind of perfect for Lazy King though, because they're kind of, oh no, this is terrible. Never mind. You should have stayed in the car there and just drove away, because like that person who had the shield was about to be pinched between him and the other guy. You can look back at this and get shots. They're like pretty involved in that fight. I don't know why it's not letting us. That's weird. So when he was in the car, we could see his scope, but now that he's not in the car, we can't see the scope. And this is where having a big pot would be nice, because if he had a big pot in addition to his medallion, could have got here, drank the big, he'd be full health now. But now he has no ability to gain health because he's only carrying med kits, and he never took white health damage anyways. I would want to get involved here. He sniped one, the other one's riot shielding. I think that riot shield player is probably going to be weak as well because they're just fighting. This should be a kill. Okay, so that actually works out very well for him, but it easily could have not. If the riot shield player chased, or if they got focused more, that could have gone south pretty quickly. So when they were by the car and the riot shield player was outside the car, like right here, and then you had that other player on the bridge, if I was them, I would have just drove the car a little bit off and then like tried to reset that fight. But instead he tried to grapple blade away. They get sniped by the person on the bridge. They're able to like outplay it and live, which it helps. But if the other players focused them more, I think that would have been the end of the game for them. And then it also got kind of, not lucky for him, but it worked out in his favor that somebody else came to third party that riot shoulder. I think the name of the skin is Garrison. But somebody came to third party that, and then Lazy King was able to re-third party that fight. But I think that could have easily been the end of his game if the other players had been more focused on him. Like all it takes is that riot shielder like shockwaving and chasing him for like that to not go his way, or if the person on the bridge who sniped him kind of pushed him afterwards rather than pushing the riot shielder, which you think most people would. Like if they just bodied someone with snipe, they're gonna continue to look at that. This could be a kill. Nice. GG's. Okay, so I think this person wins this game. I mean, they are getting third party snipe, but they, you know, there's 9 opponents remaining. They have 3 medallions, which I don't carry the medallions oftentimes in zero build anymore, just because I feel like it makes people focus you more. And with how good snipers are this season, I think the more you're getting focused, the more likely you are to lose the game. There is a heal vending machine in this gas station next to them. They're kind of low on gold, but if I was them, I would want to purchase a big pot, drink that, get back to full health. There also typically is barrels in this area as well, or like around these gas stations. I don't know if this one specifically has barrels, but there's oftentimes like you know, chug barrels or slap barrels for around these gas stations. And so they're just going to rat in this house again, which is a valid tactic if all you want to do is win, but not too interesting for the video. They keep picking places on the edge of zone to like camp though. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but he's going to have to move from this area at some point. There's no chance this gets zone. If you wanted to camp in an area that guaranteed to get zone, probably over here, over here, over here. I think either of those places are more likely to get zoned. We'll see what this next one does, but I would expect either this chunk of land, or this chunk of land to be in the next zone. They didn't get forecast, I don't think. So, you know, they don't know exactly where the next zone is. But the entire lobby is going to know where they are. And with how the meta is this season, there's a player creeping up over here. They seem to see them, though. This should be an easy kill for him. Their snipes have been, like, okay thus far. That person is sniping back, so they see him and they know where he is. That's probably the downside of him using the 4x scope, because that player might not have seen him, but because he aimed in with the sniper and had sniper glint, that could have been a situation where sniper glint gave away his location. Alright, let's see what zone did. Okay, so yeah, this area would be a nice place to be. Somewhat. That building is kind of scuffed though, because like this mountain usually sees over it and this mountain usually sees over it. There's nowhere where I would really want to be in this zone personally. This person would be annoying. So if I'm the player that we're currently spectating, I would try to get into zone by like ruined rails probably. This guy camping the hill with a medallion is probably going to be annoying, and that's not a fight that you really want to have, I think. It's just going to be like you and the other person trading snipes. And even if you're the person like trying to push that hill, you hit a snipe on them and they probably just like drive away or pad away. It's much more inconvenient for the person pushing than it is the person holding that hill. So they hit the rift from island, and now they're not going to have a car anymore. So they abandoned their car to hit this rift. We'll see if that comes back to bite them. I think it might, just because they have 3 medallions. Their location is going to be marked, and how good snipers are this season, I feel like you just want to have a car as often as possible. But especially if you're going to have the medallions, because a lot of people in the lobby are going to be gunning for you, or at the very least aware of your location and potentially just like throw some snipes at you. And you guys know how this game is. Like, you can be much better than everybody else, but all it takes is like one person pushing you and then like another person start partying, and then you could like easily lose in situations where you wouldn't otherwise. And these medallions, I think, definitely increase your chances of getting third partied. Especially with the riot shield in the game, like it's very easy for someone to just like be annoying and waste your time. There's a shield fish right there that they could eat to get their health back, as well as the flow berries. I'm not sure why they... Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, they seem like very intent on not getting full shield for some reason. Imagine they didn't know about the medallion nerf. They've just been waiting this whole time for the medallions to heal them, and they don't know why it's not working. And this is why the cars are so good, because where he is terrible. He's in like no man's land, and one person sniping at him, and anytime that person hits a snipe, their game is potentially over, or like very much negatively impacted. Whereas if they have a car there, they could just quickly get out of this area and not just be susceptible to that person's snipe. Wow. This got zoned. This is pretty bad for the person who's spectating. I mean, it could still work out for them, but they just have a wide distance to go, and it seems like there's a lot of players in between them and where they need to go. I would get that car to his left, but we'll see what he does. Again, anybody coming from this area with a sniper can easily inconvenience Lazy King's game. And that's why the cars are so good. Somebody all the way over there. I wouldn't be too concerned about this kill. So this, I think shooting at that was a bad play, because we already know there's people in this area here that might not have been aware of his presence. He's shooting at someone who probably isn't going to impact his game. But now the people who are in this area who can impact his game are going to be more aware that he's here. And that person's just leaving with a grapple blade. Those footsteps we're hearing are from the NPC. Storm is going to be on him. That person, it's lucky for him that person ahead rotated, because that guy could have just like 50-50'd him with the auto, or like waited. And when you're playing edge of zone like this, a lot of times you're kind of playing chicken to see who's willing to like rotate latest. He's going to go into the storm here. This is actually a good play. So he can go in the storm no problem, because he has all these medkits. There's a car there. That would be nice to have, but I think he's going to just not take the car so he can storm rotate. Oh, he wants this Peter Griffin medallion. But either way, this is like a point where the medkits are very good for him, because I think even at this point in the game, Storm's only hitting for 2 damage. And you can use the medkit while walking now, so he could sit in Storm and pop a medkit and just let everybody else get away from him. Which is typically not something you like. It's usually not that deep in pubs, you know what I mean? But in comp, you'll see people making Storm plays a lot of times. So this works out well for him, and you know, that's... it worked out in his favor. The thing that I was saying wasn't good earlier, where he was just like taking medkits over shield. Having the medkits there and not having to worry about Storm actually benefited him. I think people overestimate the damage Storm does. Like, even now, and now it's hitting for 5, but prior to this it was hitting for 2. So, up until this point in the game, Storm was like pretty irrelevant, especially if you have medkits like this player has. I think even at this point in the game, you could out-heal Storm with the medkits. And you've been able to do that for a while, but now the fact that the medkit gives you HP over time and you can walk while using it, just makes making Storm plays more viable. But again, like I said, it's usually not that deep in pubs. He seems pretty I don't know what the term would be. He seems pretty intent on making Storm plays, though. Like, he even backed up to this corner and was, like, sitting with his medkit out. So I think he might just stay here and try to, like, out-heal Storm and then, like, third party the last fight or something. And that could be why he was, like, very intent on taking them earlier. Someone just ran past him. This player is definitely going for more of, like, the, I don't know, ratty would be a way to describe it. People always get, like, bent out of shape when you say that, but, like, it just, you know, it's just a way to describe the... He's not going for the traditional, like... I'm going to win fights. I'm going to, like, control, like, a key area on the map. Like, he's looking more for, like, a sneaky way to get the win. And so I think he's going to wait for everything to pop off and then try to third party it after, like, healing and Storm, but we'll see. Maybe he doesn't. Zone pulled far. And what's not good for him is there's a player already, like, somewhat over here with a bunker. It would have been ideal for him if zone pulled, like, this way. Because then that other person on the mountain that has, like, the ideal spot would have to do something else. But that person who has the ideal location can just, like, keep playing normally. Like, they still have control over the game. I don't know where the person is that sniped him. Like, I think they were by that shack, but I'm not 100% certain. I do not like this. So he's going to grapple blade up the middle of the map. Okay, he's lucky that that player is grapple blading away as well. But if they stood their ground, it would have been bad for Lazy King. They might be able to get this kill. I don't like the way that person played that. They could have grappled ahead and then turned and held Lazy King, but I mean, maybe they get sniped at that point in time. I really don't think that should have worked, though. Like, that's kind of crazy. I think he has to reload the AR. People fighting behind him. People fighting in front of him. 2 players remaining. It's a 1v1v1. He can fight this, though, because this person... Okay, I was going to say, this person should be weak, and the other person was fighting behind him, I think. So it's less likely that person just, like, hops on him and gets a free third party. They win this, I think. Oh, no, the door interrupted their reload. The person's sliding up on them. They're, like, by that door. They're, like, under him right now. But this is a very winnable fight for Lazy King. He's full HP. I think you just play the shotgun fight. I don't know. I would have liked to have continued to play that bunker if I was him and maybe look for a right shoulder peek where he has, like, shotgun cut on that guy. He hits the shot, so that's GG's. But again, that could have easily not went his way. Like, they won that game and they played fine. But I also feel like a lot of things in that end game kind of, like, went their way that might not have otherwise. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful, informative, interesting. As always, if you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.